Well. You're listening to Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright then, I may say words on point, straightforward. No jibber jabber, everybody forward. Issues, facts and solution. Get it at Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright, what other thing is a revolution? Get it on point with Professor Buitrón. Gloves Off, no nonsense issues, politics, community. A better men for Laredo. Gloves Off, a revolutionary show with everything that you need to know. With Professor Buitrón. Watch ya!
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.
Back at you in Gloves Off, and today we have Councilman Robert Balli. And we're going to touch base on his re-election campaign. How are we doing, Councilman? Doing good?
Doing very well. Doing well.
Awesome. I know it's been kind of a hectic year for everybody, especially with this crisis that we're on, but let's talk about something positive. Let's talk about the positive elements of your campaign. How do you see that? What's going on right now?
Well, it's campaigning is always a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed it. We've been in campaign mode now every 2 years for the past 6 years. So now this is 8 years now, or it's the 6th year, but the fourth time, and just enjoying it. It's different, obviously, because of what's going on in the community. It's a different campaign, but really enjoying that.
Okay, understood. It's changed everybody's mechanics, but let's talk about one thing. When you first ran for council, what did you expect? What did you want to change?
Well,
and did you change what you went in there for those objectives?
Absolutely. I mean, there were certain things that we definitely needed more access. One of the first projects that I wanted to get started was I wanted there to be a river road from the El Azteca neighborhood down across I-35, so you wouldn't have to cross 35. So by the river's edge, and especially because the outlet mall was coming in at the time, and so we wanted people to be able to get to the outlet mall and get to downtown without having to cross I-35. We were able to get that road done pretty early on in the first 2 years. We got that road built, and it is a very widely used road by especially residents of El Azteca neighborhood. but also people who were at the outlet mall or like in a neighborhood like San Francisco Javier. So they get to cut through I-35, skip I-35 to go from east to west. So it's a really big connector that we produce. That was one of the very important projects. The other projects were to find a use for downtown buildings, because we realized that retail was sort of changing, and that people were now retailing online, and that a lot of those buildings downtown, which for years and years and years were, at some point offices and retail, and then mostly just all retail, and we needed to repurpose them. So we started a program to try to get restaurants and bars in. That was very successful, especially in the last year. It really started to boom downtown, and people really started to enjoy those restaurants and bars downtown. But obviously with COVID, the past 5 months, that's been a change.
Absolutely. And that change has really hurt not only restaurants and a lot of small business. And hopefully, and everybody's with their fingers crossed, because everybody's praying for everybody's business to thrive from now on, And I think COVID has changed how, and this is the way I'm looking at it. Before, everybody had a small business and everybody was in their own little niche. This is my business, my business. They knew their neighbors were there. But now, after COVID, what I'm seeing is this small business is helping that other small business, and so on and so forth. And it's a different type of community that's going through, I think, more fellowship within small business.
Well, and small businesses sort of reinventing themselves. I mean, I know in my case, my wife and I run a law office, and we have not seen any clients live since March. We've changed to teleconferencing. It's actually been very successful. People really we didn't know that, but they really took very well to it. They like it. They get more instant access and so on. But getting back to the bars downtown is now, with everything that's going on, we're seeing the numbers drop, and eventually there's going to be some changes to we're going to get reopened a little more, and so recently the state came up with some rules on being able to allow more bars to open, because the point was, now the governor was allowing only restaurants serving alcohol to open. It has to be at least 50%, but the state has now said that can be other forms of food, like basically cold stuff that you don't need a food handler's permit for, snacks. Sure. And so at this next council meeting, I put an item with Dr. Marte to discuss how we can sort of not just implement it, but facilitate it for small businesses. Because the old bars and grills that are chains, they're already open, but the ones who didn't open were the small businesses, like the ones that are all in downtown. Downtown, it's all small businesses. And so we're coming up with a plan, not just the governor's plan, but we're trying to see a plan where we can maybe bring in some assistance by placing city community tables outside of the restaurants and bars, so that people could be outdoors in a safer environment. Because we know with COVID, the big thing is you don't want to be up close and indoors with other people. But if you're outdoors and there's the air blowing and the circulation, then that risk is greatly diminished, and it's basically zero. And so we're going to look at that, obviously with the input of our health director, and Dr. Marta has been great to have on council because of his professional experience. He brings that with him. And so we'll look at it and see if we can implement that in downtown. And people may see some new outdoor dining and outdoor snacks and outdoor drinks outside of where the bars are, the bar area is, so that those small businesses can reopen again, make some money, and while things get a little bit better.
Absolutely. What I've seen is the majority of Laredoans, the vast majority, are actually taking care of one another right now. You don't see, like other cities, that the people, the aggressiveness towards if you don't wear a mask. But here, people are complying. They're understanding. They're trying to be careful. And I see that. I see that in businesses. I see that in offices that you visit. I see that in restaurants. And I said, what do you think? And God wills, and you get elected. How would you see? You're seeing Laredo in a different perspective, and saying, you know what? This is what I change. This is what I would do. This is my new objective in city council. What would that be?
Well, what we have going on right now is I've got two big projects in city council, and they've been actually goals from when I came in. Some things are going to take time, and some things you can get done quickly. Like earlier we were discussing the road, we were able to get that done quickly. But one of the goals that I had early on was to rethink the downtown library. And the numbers for the downtown library are not good. Not a lot of people go there. There's also, with that downtown library, I think at some point the city, way back, decided to look away from downtown, build nice libraries north, build nice libraries south, and just let the downtown library deteriorate. So I from the beginning had a plan for the library, wanted something new, wanted something different. And so one of the things that we've done over the last couple of months is that we found the downtown library had been occupied about 40% library, 60% building and planning. So it had been taken away from the children and the residents of downtown. So I felt a need to have building and planning move out and get them. They were actually in really terrible facility. It was a bad facility. It was not an example of what a building and planning department should look like. It was a disgrace. So we found a new building through funding that was already there. We found them a new building. It's a phenomenal building in downtown Laredo. So we're happy that they didn't move away from downtown so they can support the area. And in fact, many of the employees live in the downtown area around or close to St. Peter's, some of the surrounding neighborhoods. So they got a new building. So what that allows us to do now is go in for demolition. We are working on a plan to completely demolish the downtown library. We have funding already for a children's library. We're also going to be looking for some nonprofit funding, which we think we will have some nonprofit funding available for that. And so we're going to demolish that, rebuild, fence up the entire plaza, and create outdoor playgrounds. So it'll be a place only for children and their parents. And we feel that this downtown children's library is going to be very interactive, and that it's going to attract families, because families will go, parents follow their kids. And so we have a nice place for kids. The parents are going to come and they're going to bring them. And so that's one of the great projects that I'm really excited about, that we were finally able to find a place for building and planning. And so as soon as they moved out, we're now in the next phase of getting demolition, getting hiring architects, getting a beautiful downtown library. And then the other big project is we have funding as well for the renovation of the Plaza Theater, which is very exciting. That's going to be a multi-purpose theater. It's not just movies. It will house some movies, but that's not going to be its main purpose. It'll be all sorts of performing arts, downtown, dance, music. It'll be a great place for families as well. So those are two really good projects coming this year.
We're going to continue to keep the old Laredo downtown still be maintained.
Well, the thing is that you need to have things for people to go to. If you build things that are nice, people will come to those things, and that's the idea with the children's library. The children's library will be so nice that parents will take their kids there, and after they take their kids there, they're gonna want to eat. They're gonna want to get a bite to eat, do something. Same thing with the plaza. It'll have family events, and that keeps people afterwards wanting to stay in downtown, find a place to eat, do something in downtown. So you need people. Without people, with empty streets, you get crime. Once you fill up an area with people, that makes other people, the bad element, move away. They want to be in the shadows. And these are two very important projects that I think will also attract other businesses to the area, because they'll want to be that ice cream shop or that restaurant near the Plaza Theater that people always go to before or after the event. And you see that everywhere. Everywhere there's a theater, in any place in the world, there's places close to it that serve that theater, in restaurants, bars, ice cream houses, things like that. So I think those will be very, very popular spots for families.
Absolutely. Here's something, and we've talked already before, and we're going to do a debate coming up in the 19th, and it will be great for having you on board. It would be great to see everybody that's running, to see their ideas. Would you be there present?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to be at the debate. I think debates are always interesting. You get to hear from all the candidates, hear what their ideas are, and I'm sure everybody's got good ideas. That's what it's about. a lot of the best ideas for a council member may not come from themselves. Some of it will. I can tell you that the River Road was something I wanted to do, and no one told me. No one. It was that was all me. But there are other projects that are not all me. That they directly come from citizens. And so, like for example, right now we're in construction of the downtown police substation. The substation is right by where the restaurants and bars are, and it's actually going to have a booking area, holding cells, so that if people get rowdy at the bar, you can take them in, you can keep them. You don't have to take them to North Laredo to book them, because now what happens if somebody gets detained in downtown? That officer has to drive 30 minutes to North Laredo, book them, drive 30 minutes back, take them to county jail. So if all that can be done in downtown, that's perfect. If somebody, for example, is getting arrested for public intoxication, for example, or disorderly conduct, they can literally be held there for 3 or 4 hours until they sober up, or until they and they can be released without even stepping in county jail with a citation to municipal court. So that's something that came from the community. So from these debates, yeah, everybody who's participates in those debates, they're all constituents.
Absolutely. And that's how you find out. Sometimes we oversee what we're doing, not what we're doing wrong, and somebody else points it out, and we look at it, and yeah, we need to set. Sometimes that's just the way life is. Sometimes we're so busy in our mindset that we got this goal going on. Now somebody else does, look at that over there, and you take a look at it, and all of a sudden that gets fixed. But if people do not point out what's wrong or what needs fixing, it'll never get fixed.
Well, or what the solution is, because I think everybody can point at problems, and I'm sure you'll hear a lot of that at the debate. They'll say this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, and it's going to be like that in every community. The question is, what are the solutions to get those things done? Some solutions are simple, right? If it's dark, you add light. They're just expensive, right? It is maybe expensive, right? So some things are, but other solutions are homelessness. That's not easy. That's not an easy fix, right? Crime, not always an easy fix. So there are certain things that are more difficult fixes, but people sometimes come up with great ideas. And so a lot of these we get from the constituents.
Absolutely. I was going to ask, if somebody wants to get to know you a little better or help you in campaign, how can they get hold of you?
The easiest way to do that is to call my office number, and it's 712-4999, and I have an assistant basically 8 to 5, but most of the time, even if it's after 8 to 5, if I hear the phone, I'll answer it. So even if it's Saturday or Sunday or it's 8 or 9 at night, I'll pick up the phone. I'm not always an earshot away from the phone, but when I am, I'll try to pick it up, and so that's the best way. And if they don't, if they tried me, at 9 at night and I didn't answer, try me at 10, but please don't try me at 11, unless it's an emergency. But if you call between 8 and 5, I've got someone taking messages, so that's always good. So that's the best way. I want to talk about something else that we've been working on little by little since I've been in office. Is we've done a lot of work on lighting, on lighting, and we have a lot more to do. Individually, as a council member, realized that lighting was a big problem when I started block walking, and number one thing that people ask for, and that's in all parts of town. It's not just District 8. Some of the differences, sometimes people compare, well, how come there's so much lighting in North Laredo? And there really isn't, but in ways, right, when you have a new development, they put in lighting, and that's part of the development. But these old neighborhoods, basically you have one city light per block is what we have. That's what we have, one city light per block. And the older the neighborhood is, the more trees there are. So the less that light works. It gets blocked off by the trees and doesn't get to the ground, and so that becomes a big issue, especially if the neighbors aren't turning on their lights or whatever. So lighting was very important. One of the big lighting projects we did several. One of the biggest ones was around the four corners at Martin, Martin, Kristen, Linedecker, and the old Civic Center, and that's always been. I mean, since I was in school, that's a place where we would run. And to this day, there's lots of runners, families, there's walkers, cyclists, and people use it. They're not, maybe people from other neighborhoods aren't familiar, but everybody in District 8 knows the Four Corners because it's a big area. It goes basically 5 blocks by 6 blocks, and there's no intersections. So it's 1.3 miles, one lap. And so we added about 40 lights around that. And back then, and this is before my wife was on the school board or even had any idea she was going to run the school board, we talked to LISD and said, can you please turn on your lights? These are your kids walking home. These are your kids' parents walking at night for exercise, or at 6 a.m. That's when I go early. Please turn on your lights, because they weren't turning on the lights of the schools, or not all of them. And they had lights out, so we worked with them and said, hey, look, these are all the lights you have out. Can you fix them? And then we have 2 buildings there. We have a fire department. We have a public access. We added lighting, and then we added lighting to the street. Over 40 lights we added, plus whatever the district added, and they turned on their lights. So it's really bright. And the difference is that it used to be at about, once it got dark at 8:30, in the summer, started getting dark, you would see maybe 10 runners. Now we see like 100 people out there at night.
It's busy, and it's always been an area where people go and exercise, really.
And then we widened the sidewalks as well. We widened a lot of the sidewalks. There's about 4 more blocks to fix of sidewalks, but we widened a lot of sidewalks too, for the same reason, because we had the track and then the sidewalk, but then there was grass on the sides. And we said, no, we need to add at least cement there, because, like me as a runner, I'm always passing. So I realized that, I was running around people through the grass or sometimes onto the street. And I said, no, we need to widen these to make it more comfortable so people like it, so people enjoy it, so they feel that freedom that you want to feel. So that was a big lighting project. And we doubled up the lighting on San Bernardo, made all those LEDs. And Santa Maria, we did that. We added, we quadrupled the lighting along Zacate Creek, between Chicago all the way up to Lyon Jefferson, along the creek. It's the only part of the creek where it's straight. It's a straightaway, just a canal, basically a drainage ditch. And so we just lit that thing up. It already had good sidewalks, and spent about $250,000 lighting that thing up so that people could walk along that trail. And they're starting to take to it, not as much as at the Four Corners, but it's adding a lot to the neighborhoods to have that extra light. The people that live along there, and now we're seeing more people walk and run there, and so that's been very important for public safety. And we also have an agreement with AEP to change and kind of double up the lighting in El Cuatro, St. Peter's, and downtown. And so we're already working with them on that area to double up the lighting. And little by little, those are the projects I think are important. I think lighting, we've added a lot of sidewalks too, but I think lighting is still more essential for public safety.
And people tend to forget, counselors, that when we were growing up as kids, a lot of the streets, number one, lighting, a lot of the streets weren't paved.
Right.
It wasn't until mid 90s, 2000 that the majority of the streets got paved. There's still some streets out there that are not paved, So older neighborhoods were left behind because everybody was building towards the north and towards the south, and you start seeing that kind of development. But now people are paying attention to it. Now they're going back and refurbish the old, and it's needed. And it takes a different vision, takes vision to do that. And I think somebody that in your position is able to actually point it out and say, let's get it done now. And I think that's the beauty of it, because not previous individuals, not pointing any previous individuals, basically just let it slide,
I feel that way. I feel that way.
Kick the can down the street. Somebody came up and said, what? Now let's take care of this.
And absolutely. I mean, what I saw, I'm like, okay, well, what happened to the police department? It was downtown. At some point, they said, let's build a police department up north. You have a library downtown. It was the only library when I was a kid. And it's good to build a library in the north. That's not a bad thing. And one in the south, those are good things. The more libraries, the better. But then to let the one downtown just deteriorate, and that causes people to not want to live in the area. I mean, the things like that is they say, well, if I'm north, I mean, I get a nicer library, and I get a nicer this, and I get a nicer that, and so it makes sense to people. So you have to start fixing the old stuff and keeping buildings, keeping the properties downtown looking good. And so one of the things that we've seen since I've come in is I've seen a lot more excitement about downtown from business owners, also property owners. We've seen a lot of development, a lot of people close to downtown, like in the St. Peter's area, refurbishing houses, and which I think is amazing, because some of those houses are just absolutely stunning, and it's nice to see.
Absolutely, there's some pretty architecture downtown. Some of the buildings that when you look at it, it really needs.
But I'm seeing that in surrounding neighborhoods as well. A friend of mine's a lawyer, just refurbished a house in El Azteca. I mean, I've been in my property now for, I guess, 8 years, 9 years, can't remember, but we refurbished it. It was in good shape though, but we did some refurbishing as well. And these things are important, because when people start investing in the neighborhood, it wants other people want to invest too. Other people want to invest. They see, hey, it's nice. Hey, there's I like the neighbors. I the neighbors care, and so it starts with one person, and then it continues, and we've seen that. I mean, really, St. Peter's a very good example of that. But the other neighborhoods as well. Here in 14 neighborhood, I've seen quite a few people invest as well, and
Right.
so that's important.
Absolutely. Well, Counselor, anything else you'd like to tell your constituents out there?
Well, I think that what's important in this race when they're looking at who to vote for is, one, you look at experience, and I have more experience than anyone who's running in this election. I have an office number that I can be reached at, which is important. I've raised a family. I'm married. I've got kids. I've got a baby. I've got older kids, and so I've got a small business. So I've gone through the struggles that most people are going through. I know what it's like to have to make a payroll. I know what it's like to pay property taxes. I know that I don't like to pay property taxes, but I'm proud when I do, because I know that supports the community, right? Nobody likes to pay. I don't like to pay income tax either, but I'm proud when I do, make that tax bill every year. And so I go through the struggles that everybody else goes through. But I come in with a great deal of experience. More than my opponents. I've got degrees, both a bachelor's and master's in business administration. I've run a business. I've got a law degree. So from the perspective of creating municipal ordinances, rules, I'm understanding the process. I'm understanding what's going on as a council member. There are people sometimes that don't really understand the process the same. So I'm in a good position of not just experience as a council member, but the business experience, the family experience, that I think are all a good combination to make somebody a good council member who can be productive. I've also, been someone who, since I've been in, has always been able to form a coalition. And some people criticize that, right? There are groups that criticize, well, you guys, you're voting together. Well, if you don't have a coalition, you don't get things done. If you always want to be against everything, then what are you for? You can't get anything done. You got to have projects. You got to have support for your projects. And so I've consistently, since I've been on council, had other council members support my projects. I've created excitement for downtown and had other council members be excited for downtown as well and support what I'm doing. So I think that's very important to have someone who can build coalitions and get the votes and get the money. Like we got the money for the downtown road, for the lighting projects, for the Plaza Theater, and for the downtown library. You got to get that money. You got to get those projects done. If you can't do that, what are you doing for the residents?
No, absolutely. And right there, the difference is you can get along with us. They can come and say, you know what, did this before we're here on this project, and it kind of went okay, but if you guys do your project and get this way, it's going to be much better. And that kind of collaboration brings more peace and more unity within the whole city.
Absolutely. Well,
okay? Or else we're stuck what we have now, not to fix stuff that should have been fixed 25 years ago. You know what I'm saying? 25 years ago.
Well, sure, and you have to understand the vision of other council members and their districts and what's important. Getting down. I'm going to tell you this: every council member understands the downtown is important, and I've been able to really get agreement, almost unanimously, sometimes not unanimously, but almost unanimously or unanimously for the downtown project. And I've done that by building coalitions. I've done that by making people see that the community wants downtown to succeed. And because that's important to them, they need to know, if you're voting from the south or you're voting from the north, and those are your constituents, you need to know that those people care about downtown too, which they do. And so, this urban center, not just downtown, but all these neighborhoods that surround it, El Cuatro, St. Peter's, La Azteca, 14, all the neighborhoods around Martin High School, they feed downtown. And same thing with San Bernardo. These are
absolutely.
So we just have to work with everybody, and I think I've done a good job of doing that.
Absolutely. Well, Councilman, we'll wish you the best and Godspeed, and let's move forward. And at the end of the day, there's five or six running in your. I think there's 5, and one's going to come ahead. So
yeah,
let's just push forward.
We call that democracy. We call that
And
democracy.
folks, I'm gonna, I'll say this for the folks that are watching the program is study, learn, reach out to each candidate, understand who and what they are and what they represent before you place a vote, and exercise your right to vote. Next, this election is going to be very, very essential. And please do not vote by mail. Get out there and literally go out, put on your mask, and go out and vote where everybody needs to.
Thank you so much.
All right, Councilman, until next time, you be safe.
Thank you.
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.